Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unique Peace. Thank you for joining me this morning. Today, I have Just E on. She is a local recording artist here on Long Island. She is also part owner of a recording studio and production house in out east on Long Island. So we will talk about that for a minute. And I would like everyone to welcome E to the show. Hello.
Hi guys.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So, as you know, this is a show about peace, but I would like to start off with kind of like you have an interesting story of how how you got to where you are and how it has brought you peace.
Yeah. I
So,
thank
so
you.
let's start there.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna say right off the bat, this is actually the first real full on interview I've ever had on a podcast, so I might be a little nervous. But I guess it is really important. When you asked me to be on it, it was really important for me because I do believe that mental health is very important, and that being able to find peace within yourself and being able to look within yourself and reflect, I think makes the biggest difference in how you live your life and how you can perceive happiness and actually experience it. And so I guess when you asked me, like, for me, that was what was really important, was to kind of let people know maybe some of the hardships that I've been through and kind of overcome, so that if they've experienced something similar or something in the same realm of, like, trauma, they could be able to, like, overcome it and become a better version of themselves.
Yeah, can you discuss some of those traumas that if you want that have brought you to where you're at?
Yeah, thank you. I'm very open about the trauma. So I think one of the biggest things that um, warped my sense of self growing up is just being like a mixed person. Didn't really, I was never really accepted by the Black community or the white community. And my biggest savior was having a strong family life and having a really supportive father. And sadly, he passed when I was about 9 years old, and
Mm.
that slipped me into a really bad depression, um, which ultimately caused me to self-harm myself, which put me in a psych ward for a little while. And then when I came out of there, it was kind of a unique situation, but I became considered an emancipated minor at that point. I really didn't have anyone to really take care of me like that. And the few family members that I did have that probably would have taken care of me just didn't really know what was going on in my situation. So I ended up homeless for a little while and living off
Mm.
the streets. And I just remember like failing a lot in school because I wasn't able to, like, give my full focus in school, and so I was always getting, like, mediocre grades, and that was always kind of something always making me feel like I really wasn't worth it. And then as I got older, I ended up getting old enough to get a job at like 16 years old. I was able to kind of finagle a job, and I remember that was kind of like the main way that I supported myself. By the time I was in high school, by, like, I think my second year in high school, I had my own apartment, and I was just trying to get my life together, I guess. And I was trying to understand how to be an adult while also being in school and, dealing with school drama.
Uh-oh. I
If that
lost you
makes
for a
sense.
minute.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, the drama that and it's hard enough to be an adolescent, just in general, in trying to navigate that part of life and then doing it on your own with
yeah.
very little guidance.
Yeah. I mean,
So
weird because it's like I don't even think about it like that, but it is true. Like, being an adolescent, you don't really have a lot of experience in the world, so you really are just kind of like winging it the whole time.
while knowing it all, by the way, my 16-year-old thinks he knows it all.
Yeah,
It's like, you don't know it all. You
exactly.
when we look back, it's like, yeah, we didn't know anything.
Yeah. And it's true because it's like having that attitude at that age was a little rough for me because I would have, teachers who would get upset with me over things, like, because maybe I came into school and I was eating, right? And on my first period class, like, I remember my English teacher hated me because she'd be like, "Why do you always come and eat in my class? I said you can't eat in my class." but I never felt comfortable to be like, well, I had to work till 1 o'clock in the morning and I didn't get up in time to hit the bus, so I had to run to school.
So I'm enjoying my breakfast.
I'm enjoying my breakfast right now. But at this, so, never really having, to be honest, I never really had a teacher that like reached out and cared like that either. So that, I guess in a lot of ways, I didn't trust anybody. And I did think I think I know everything, because it's like, here these people are assuming things about me, assuming I'm lazy, assuming that I don't care and I don't, care about school, and I'm not giving an effort into the things that matter, not realizing that at the time, the things that mattered to me was keeping a roof over my head,
And
you know?
food in your stomach and everything else. So
Exactly.
absolutely.
And it did not help that at 16 years old, I was dating a 21-year-old who really didn't bring much to the table. Like, I look
Mm.
back and like our rent alone was like $800, but then you have to factor in like food, gas, utilities, even like extra stuff you want, like cable and stuff, or like internet. And like that person was bringing in like 400. They were paying half the rent. That's it, like $400 a month. I was like literally 16 years old, like supporting a 21-year old. So,
Well,
but in fairness, it was probably the best. I think everything happens for a reason. So even though I look back and I'm like, okay, I learned never to do that again, I also recognize where being with him was probably a very big turning point in my life, because even though our relationship probably wasn't that healthy, his parents actually taught me a lot about how to live in a functioning household and how to communicate properly and how to enjoy life. And then
okay.
and I will say, when the situation that I was living in got a little dicey, like the woman who we were renting like a shed. It was so tiny, and she wanted to raise the rent and do all this stuff out of nowhere. And like we were like, we can't really afford it. And we also, there was some kind of mixed feelings. Like, I noticed that she was doing some stuff inappropriately with her daughter, with drugs. So we were like, we should just get out of here. And so like she started stealing from us when we said we're just going to leave, instead of, I guess she thought I'll get it back a different way. So she started stealing from us. So his family was like a saving grace, because when they started doing that, we were able to move out and go into his parents' house. And by the grace of God, I have no idea how they dealt with me. I want to say God rest Tom Peterson, because he passed from cancer, sadly. But
Mm.
like he's like the main reason why I can even like understand happiness and like know how to appreciate things in life. Whereas his mother, Linda Peterson, shout out to her, she's an amazing woman, really helped me understand how to be like a woman and how to take care of myself and how to have like a functioning like conversation. Like, if she didn't like something, I would like try to avoid her, because I was so used to like a bad reaction. And she kind of helped me understand, like, no, this is how you communicate. Like, if someone has a problem with you, it's not like you're a horrible person. Like, I always thought, oh my God, I'm the worst person in the world if I do something wrong or if I upset somebody. And she helped me understand, like, no, that's human. People get upset with people. As long as you communicate and you learn how to, get over it, that's all that matters. And I'm like, okay. So it's like, I learned a lot from being with him and his families, so it was an amazing experience. And then, you know, I think I definitely grew and learned a lot from that. And then when I moved on and started kind of jumping from apartment to apartment to like whatever I could afford at the time, I kind of like rebranded myself. All right, hold on one second. I'm sorry, my cat is just freaking out. Hold on. I couldn't handle the scratching noises. Um, but so when I kind of rebranded myself and I made my own business, I became what I called a home care living assistant. So I basically took a home care nurse and a live-in aide and made it into one title. And in fairness, my training really came from hands-on. I never actually physically got like a degree, but my mother was a nurse, and she dealt with all spectrums. She did a lot of work for IGHL. She does a lot of stuff for home care living now. And then I've dealt with like wound care stuff. I experienced a lot of like, I helped my grandma when she was going through dementia, so I learned a lot from that. And so I kind of used a lot of the tools that I learned to transition into like this random business where I would go into people's homes, and it really didn't matter if it was young kids, because I had done a little bit of nannying prior, where I took care of the Rhiners. I just want to give a shout out to them because they are amazing. And they taught me everything I know about how to be patient with kids and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I ended up becoming this home care living assistant where I took care of elderly people who were like on hospice or dealing with delusion or dementia. And then I would take care of kids from all spectrums of ages, whether they were infants to teenagers. And so that really got me through schooling. I went through two years of business management in Suffolk Community College, realized I was wasting my time, and I dropped it all to become an audio engineer, and it was the best decision I ever did. I went to a recording engineer institute. I used the money that I was making and help from my uncle and my mother for just doing a lot of any extra stuff. Like there was a couple times where I was struggling to pay a bill or two, and they would help me out, and I'm really appreciative of that, because that was one of the reasons why I was able to get my engineering degree. And that was really the turning point where I started actually like doing something I love and felt fulfilled. But then, of course, the big C happened. So, right as I was just getting to a point where I was about to start working in the industry doing radio with my engineering degree, I got cancer, and it was osteogenesis sarcoma. It was bone cancer.
Oh,
And yeah, it was kind of a crazy situation because I just didn't want to, I don't know. It was just, no one believes it. Like when it first happens, you're kind of like, when
you're
you're
in
going,
shock.
yeah, exactly. You go through like these series of tests and you're like, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And as each test gets more and more definitive, it's like, nope, that's the answer. You have it. And I was a very unique case. I was very fortunate to not only have the cancer go down my arm instead of to the nearest um,
Artery.
yeah, major organ, which would have been my heart at the time. I mean, my lungs at the time, but it started off in my shoulder, and instead it just went down the arm. And I was
That's a
also
blessing.
what?
That's such a blessing.
Yeah, honestly. And then I was also very lucky that I had a pediatric form of cancer, which made it a little bit of more of a rare case. But I had a form of cancer that usually 17 and under get, and I got it at 24.
Hmm.
So, and then, but it was very quick. It was very, like in 2 weeks of finding out, I got put into chemo. And I will say, I want to let everyone know that doesn't always happen. And if you are in a situation where you are diagnosed with any type of major thing and they want you to get a slew of tests, and they ask you, they tell you to make all these appointments with all these different doctors to make these tests, I recommend finding out what hospital or what where you're going to be getting your treatment. Like I decided Stony Brook, for example. I live out in Long Island, New York, so I decided Stony Brook. So when I decided that, instead of trying to schedule all these doctors, I actually went to the ER room at Stony Brook, knowing that whatever I did there would transfer to whatever doctor I was going to be working with. And so because I was in the ER, they just got it all done because it's real. It's not like
Mhm.
so it saved a lot of time where some people go through months of waiting for doctors to have availability to get these tests.
Yeah, that
Sometimes
happened to a friend of mine. She is out here on Long Island, so there was a couple doctors on Long Island. Then they sent her into the city,
it's so
and
ridiculous.
it was all over the place where she would have liked just one system, whether it was Northwell or Stony Brook or what have you, just one system.
Yeah. And that's why I say like that's the best. That's why I say to anybody who's going through it, like if you feel like you're getting like thrown around like a pinball, just slow down, stop, ask yourself what is the actual um, hospital or facility that I want to work with, and what hospital can transfer any testing I get with no problems, because then you can just go into the ER, get the testing done, and then go off and they'll send that testing to the place that you're getting your actual treatment. And it for me, it took 2 weeks, and I was blessed to have an aunt that worked in the medical field and specifically worked within hospitals. So that's where she was the one who was like, we're not doing that. We're doing this.
I love when they kind of put their foot down like that. I was like, wait, no, just stop.
Exactly. So shout out to Gina Petriella. She's my aunt, and she's the one who kind of was like, we're gonna do this the quick way, the right way, the more efficient way. And I want to let other people out there know, like, do it if you can do it. So that was kind of the big turning point. I had to take 3 forms of chemo. So I was in there for about 2 weeks at, I'm sorry, 3 weeks at a time, and then I'd get 2 weeks off.
Okay.
So I did that for about 2 years. I got my surgery halfway between. So we did a year of it. I got my surgery. We did another year of it. And I was so fortunate to be clear. And I'm actually, this is actually 5 years. Um, I'm free, which is a very exciting thing. Yeah, that means I passed the 2 year mark, because usually when people get through my chemo, um, there's a chance it could come back 2 years later. So the fact that I even got through that was like really, like, I was so happy.
That's such a blessing.
Yeah, and like ever since then, I've just been focusing on my music. I think a big thing that really matters to me now, and this is where I do find my happiness and joy, because I will say, I should have said this the whole time, all of that hardship I dealt with through music. Like whether I was listening to somebody who just spoke my emotions, whether I was just experiencing something in life, like painful wise, whether it was chemo, like whatever, and like hearing the music to distract myself from that. During chemo, I wrote a lot of my music. I made a lot of beats through this little tablet that I had in my little bed. And I remember, and still to this day, this music is like my baby. I've been putting out a lot of music where I've been working with composers, but the music for my album work is all stuff that's all me, that I made while I was in my chemo bed. I made the lyrics during this hardship, and so it means a lot to produce it 100%. So I've been working for years on that, and I'm really excited because still got at least another year coming, because I'm still gathering some instrumentalists and stuff, but I see it coming together now, and it's really exciting. And I will say music's just been everything for me.
So, in transitioning into the very first question, it's what brings you peace. So you were going to you've been alluding to music as bringing you peace.
Yeah.
It got you through so much, and it still, I'm assuming, gets you through a lot now.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how the universe gives you what you need. Like there's sometimes where I'm just doing my thing, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling an emotion, and a song comes on in my car, and I'm like, what? How did you know? Like, how did you know that? You know? Or I'll hear a new song, and I'm like, why does this describe the exact situation I'm in right now?
Well, it's like the meme that it's like, I can't tell you how I'm feeling, but I can find a song that can.
Exactly. Exactly. Honestly. And that's like, and that's another good point too. It's like sometimes you really don't have the words. Like there are times where I want to express like an emotion towards somebody, or a feeling, even just like a really positive, sweet one, and I don't know how to say it, so I'll just like send a song.
This one's for you.
The best though is when you send a song and they're like, I don't get it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go die in a hole, thanks.
It might you need to do a little, like, explaining.
Yeah. There's a song, Issues, by, I'm gonna butcher it. I don't remember her name, but it's like, I got issues, you got them too.
Oh, yes, I've heard that song,
I've totally
and
sent that to someone, and they're like,
Michael, he's watching. Thank you, baby. He's thank you for your story. And where can we hear your music? Well, that is also a wonderful thing. We can find your music on YouTube.
yeah, thank you so much, Kyle. How nice to like virtually meet you. Um, and and thanks for supporting the channel. But yeah, I'm on every platform music wise as Just E with an exclamation point, JUST with an E with an exclamation point, or you can find any of my social media handles or YouTube like that as Just E Please. So I'm still in the midst of trying to get YouTube to recognize that I am me. So I have my
Yeah.
page on YouTube and then my personal page. I'm trying to get them to mesh, but you'll find my music videos on the Just E Please.
Yes, and, your recent EP is amazing. I would love to encourage everyone to listen to it. Like, I know that I'm a rocker, but in this is different than that, but it is when you listen to the music and you listen to the lyrics. I'm a very conscientious listener, even within the genres that I prefer. The lyrics always make a difference, and yours are very inspiring, they're very telling. You can, like you said, the emotions come through of whatever you were experiencing then. And I think that's true for any creative art that has meaning to anybody, whether that's movies, books, poetry, definitely music.
That means,
Music always shines through, though.
thank you so much. That means a lot because I do for me I like all genres, and I know that a lot of my music is dance music, but
Hmm.
I am very excited to bring dance to rock in my album, because that's really why my album's taking so long, is because I refuse to just only use the digital sounds. I really want to have real instruments in my music. So I'm excited, because if you like this, I really hope that you'll enjoy the album when it comes out.
Yes, and my sister has listened to your EP and she really likes it as well.
Oh, thank you. That means so much. Thank you so much for passing it on, because like that, you have no idea how much of a difference that makes for someone like me.
Oh yeah, you have to get it out. You're very grassroots. I
Yeah.
mean, you've been all over the place. And my next question I like to ask is, how do you bring peace?
So this is gonna sound weird, but I feel like the first thing that I think everyone needs to focus on, and therefore I try to live the truth that I believe, is in words, because I can't make anybody happy, or I can't spread peace and love if I don't have it inside. So I think the first thing that I do is say to myself, how does that make me feel? Why does it make me feel that way? How can I what how can I respond in a way that will actually get out the message or the point? Because a lot of the times we respond on emotions, and I'm very emotional, as my album says. My new EP, I mean, it talks about it a lot. I'm very emotional, and I've recognized through therapy and through a lot of help that I react a lot. And so, my first thing to spread peace is to always respond, because if I'm responding, then I'm consciously always trying to make it better. I can react and just not even realize what I'm doing, but if I'm responding, there's a thought behind my action. There's a consciousness there. So I know I'm trying to do right by somebody. I know that my actions are coming from a good place. And that also helps for miscommunication, because if someone misunderstands me, or if I come off wrong, then what how I mean, being able to recognize, well, I want a conversation, I want us to be on the same page. That, knowing I'm coming from that place, stops me from getting offended and being like, what the, and getting to a point where I can turn around and go, let's talk about this. Let's figure it out. We're not on the same page. We're not speaking the same language. So let's figure out how we can. So I think that stopping, thinking about what is it that I want? What is the end goal? And then responding in a way that you're trying to spread that love, because that's, I mean, for me, that's the end goal. I want to spread peace, I want to spread love. Even in my business, my goal, whether it's my lyrics or actually just making a community for the local businesses and the local artists to create in a safe space, that's what I care about, is creating safe spaces where we can all be honest with each other and speak our truths and not feel like we're being attacked, even if we don't agree.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And do you feel that that has like really progressed your career and understanding of how like the music business works? Because sometimes there's a lot of miscommunication in that arena.
I do. I think that, especially in the music business, like, I can openly say too, I know for a fact that I don't come off good through like texts. Like, I'm not, like, my emotions don't come off in a text message. I come off either really dry or really, so it's like, especially when I'm communicating with artists who I know we're all about emotions. We're all about how we talk
Mhm.
to each other. We're all about the words that we use, because we're all artists. We're writing, we're creating. So, we really look deep into things. So I think it's very important to get on someone's level and try to communicate with them in a way that they perceive as appropriate, because everybody has a different form of how they perceive loyalty. Everyone has a different form of how they perceive respect. And being able to recognize, okay, well, this is how I respect myself and how I receive respect. So I would like to get that from you. And then to recognize, well, this is how you perceive respect, and this is what you're asking of me. So let me do that for you. You
It's
know,
almost like a love languages type of thing.
yes. And then, but also I have to say, as I'm saying that, always trying to want to communicate, but always recognizing too that if somebody isn't giving the effort, you can't keep giving as well. You have to recognize your boundaries. And that's once again looking in. Well, what do I really want in this conversation? Well, I want this. Maybe I'm not going to get it because this person doesn't want that. So what's the next best thing? You know, like, is it better to just walk away and stay calm? Is it more worth it to me to get my point out there? Do I care? And I think that has to do with how much you care. I mean, why make an effort to bother with someone if you don't care?
Right.
And I think that's actually a big problem we have in the society right now, is that we're losing that sense of community. So instead of giving the energy to the people that you care about, we're giving energy to things that really don't matter in our lives. And then the people we care about, we're so quick to be like, I don't need them in my life. They're toxic, and it's like, well, maybe that's not the case. You weren't toxic before. Maybe there's a dynamic change that needs to be addressed.
Right.
You know?
So, you had an event last night.
Yeah.
And it went really well. So, do you feel like, can you kind of walk us through what happened? And do you feel like you brought that group peace through music?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you said that. I hope I did. I mean, I can't speak for anybody, but I definitely got people dancing. I got people smiling and in a good mood. Anu, who's this amazing woman who just made everything happen. If anybody comes and follows me and messages me, whatever, I'll give you the information on her, because she's always throwing events. But um, I felt like it was such a good turnout, because not only did I end up getting to play twice because I did so good the first time, but um, I chose to change up my set last minute because I wanted to add a song that's on the album, the new EP, I mean, called Cradle My Heart. So that song is really about not letting the hate and the anger and the bad things in this world stop you from loving and trusting and hoping for better tomorrows and working for those better tomorrows. And so I was nervous because I always make this fun dance music, and then here, after all this fun dance music, I literally I literally sang an unreleased song called New York Bitch that and it's like a fun dancey, like, if you're a New Yorker, you're like proud to be a New Yorker kind of vibe. And so I right after that song, I slowed it all down and played this Cradle My Heart song, and I was so nervous people weren't going to perceive the energy in the same way, because people are so used to me bringing the high energy. And it was so the opposite. I was so surprised. There was people there that were like ready to cry just from the harmonies and stuff of, things that were it was just a great experience. I can't even begin to like describe it. I would just say keep in touch and figure out when the next one is, and I'll go live for that one too.
um, Another question I love to ask is, when someone's going through something and they're like depressed or they're low or they're stressed, and they just they can't, sit and meditate like a monk for an hour, even though, you just want to take that time and step away. What do you have in your toolbox that you can offer others that's like, hey, do this, try this, have you thought of this? I mean, I'm contemplating like go to music, but what do you have?
Actually, I mean, music's a great one, dancing's a great one, but I think the first thing that you should do is learn to recognize when you're doing it. And and this is kind of cliche, it kind of goes hand in hand with like talking to yourself like a friend, but almost like counteract it. Like, even if you don't believe it, say the opposite. So, like, for an example, if you're like, I'm failing at everything today, turn around and go like, I'm winning. Okay. All right. What the universe is trying, but I'm winning. Because realistically, even if you don't necessarily believe it in the moment, there's truth to it, because there's two sides to every story. I mean, you could sit there and say I'm failing at everything today, or you could say I'm winning just by being able to breathe and walk on this planet.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of forget that there are little things that we are winning every single day, that not everybody has that luxury. Like, I will say, when that chemo was the turning point in that mindset, The victimization, once I was in and out of chemo, the victimization of my life was out the window because I realized like people have it harder. Like I'm partly disabled in my left arm because of it. And I remember right after the surgery I had this big thing on my arm and I'm feeling like really pity, self-pity. And it's okay to feel self-pity as long as you don't live in it. And I was sitting there feeling it. I was like, oh gosh, this is horrible, blah, blah, blah. And as I'm saying it, this father walks in with this little girl whose leg is twisted the other direction and she's going through cancer. And I'm like, why am I complaining? There's kids around me right now, like that are going through this, that haven't even experienced life. I got to rock climb, I got to live my life and do these things before this happened. Get a degree, all this stuff before this happened. These kids might not even get there. They might have to always deal with this.
Right.
So it's just like, that was the turning point of recognizing like I can't do this victim thing. It's okay to have the pity because the pity is recognizing what you need to fix, what's actually getting to you and bothering you. But when you live in it is the problem. You need to be able to snap out of it and say, hey, there's worse out there. Things could be worse for me. Or no matter how bad it is, there are things that I can change.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that is kind of very much what, sometimes it's like there's many things in a toolbox, and that is one that, it's what can I change? What can I do differently? What did I learn from this? That one's been a big one.
And actually, you know what? Another one that is like, because some people, it's hard mentally and you need something physical. And I'm like that too sometimes. There's times where my mental state is so in a downward spiral. There's no way I'm going to mentally be able to say, think opposite, do this. I can't even recognize I'm doing it. So I have two other ways that I deal with it. One is I have a blanket. My blanket from when I was a baby that my father gave me when I was very young. I'm very attached to it. I am totally fine with the fact that if I'm anxious, I can drape it over my head and everything's better. Like that.
Whatever.
Exactly. If you have something, even if it's something you just need to like hold in your hand and feel, whether it's something you want to rub against your face, like any little thing like that, or if you have somebody like you can rely on in a social setting. Like I have a friend, Barbara Lasky, shout out to her because she is amazing and one of the best people in the world, but and one of the most giving, caring people that you'll ever meet out there. So spiritual and so loving. But she would always tell me whack-a-mole.
So we're all gonna go to Chuck E. Cheese
Yeah.
and play whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if I was getting negative, she thing where she would go blah 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 blah, and then I would say something negative, and she'd go well blah blah blah, and she'd keep trying to counteract it with positive things. And after a while, she'd realize I was just being negative, and she'd go whack-a-mole. And that would be the warning sign. That would be the way of wake up, get out of it, And then I also having friends that have no problem calling you out and being able to handle it because they're coming from a good place. Like my business partner, one of the reasons why I went into business with him is because he's one of the few people who could be like, all right, fine, if you want to stay there and be negative, then stay there and be negative. And then I'm sitting there like, right. I am being negative. I gotta stop.
No, those are the best friends. I have several friends that they call me out, and it's like I'll tell them a story, and it's like, "What do you think?" And they have no problems if it's me. It's like it's you.
Yeah.
Or did you try this? Or they just have no problems calling me,
Yeah. And
and they come from love.
exactly. And that's the beauty of knowing yourself. Because if you know yourself, when somebody you care about says something like that, it's not like a hit to the gut. It's not like, oh my God, how could they say that about me? Or it's not something you have to take personal or feel victimized by it. You can actually like grow from it and laugh from it and make jokes from it. I mean, that's like the epitome of most comedians is by joking on themselves. It's like, we have to find a way to be able to laugh and joke. And if it's not who you naturally are, that's okay, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a small or somebody that you can be that way with, because that's going to humble you, that's going to keep you grounded, and also it's hard to find that person. I will admit it's
It
hard.
is absolutely hard. It's a trust thing, and that trust is built up over years. It's not just a hot minute. It's like you may feel like you know somebody really well, but I don't know about you, but I'm close vested. It's like, okay, we got to know each other for at least a year
Mhm.
before I can trust you with this sort of thing.
And the crazy part is when you have someone who's good that you can trust, that never changes. Like I want to do a shout out to Santino Scabelli and um, Ashley Ethelberg. These two people in my life, I think, are like my constants. And it's like no matter how much time goes between where we don't talk or we do, like we're always there for each other in a way. Like I remember growing up, like I kind of had to be humbled, and my friend Santino was like, you can't get mad when people can't do things for you. You have to recognize that you have control of your own life. You need to make it happen for you, and da 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 da. And like I needed it at that time. Like it woke me up, and I was like, you know what, you're right. And even though, and like time has changed. Like we when our like we still talk and stuff, but we're not like seeing each other every day because that's what happens.
It
But like
happens. Yep.
exactly, but that does not mean we're not like he's not one of my best friends in the long run. Like he'll always be someone I know that if push came to shove and I needed somebody, they would really be there if they, if I really needed them. And then same thing with Ashley. Like my friend Ashley, she'll if I'm too much, I get like I said, I'm emotional. I'll be too much. She'll be like, I need a break from you. She's like, but you know what? I know she's coming from. It's not like a bad thing, Like when we start talking again, it's all good because no one's ever vicious. Like usually the break is more just like I have way too much energy and my brain's like all over the place, and she's like, girl, I can't handle you right now. Like and that's because she's more socially inward, where I'm an extrovert and I'm like, everybody, this is what's happening. She's like an invert, so she's like, I can't handle the overwhelming amount of it. So,
She tends to even you out, it seems.
exactly. And that's the beauty of friends. Like you shouldn't be surrounded by people who are exactly like you. You should be surrounded with people who think like you.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's one more thing that I want to talk about today for sure, and that is today's your birthday.
Ah, yeah.
So we want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. Yeah. Sorry about my birthday. Thank you.
You forgot it was your birthday. You and my sister. She's like, I don't want to remember.
Yeah. Like I remember like I went to go get my new, because you have to renew your ID. And I go to get my ID renewed, and they're like, "Are you sure you don't want a new picture?" I'm like, "I don't need to see myself older. We're good." They're like, keep that memory right there. We're good.
See, in some states, every time you renew your license, you have to take a new picture, and that's true in the state of Colorado. So from like 16 to 26, 25, I every 5 years, and they think they've extended it now, but you got a new picture because you've changed.
Oh, okay.
And like in Arizona, I remember I was working in HR, and I had to look at somebody's license, and their picture was from when they were very young. It was like in their early 20s, and here they are before me, and they're like almost 50. I'm like, and she goes, "It's a forever license." I'm like, "What's a forever license?" Only in Arizona could you get a forever license.
That's so crazy. I mean,
And the last time I went to get a real ID, and honestly, my work ID, it looks better than my driver's license.
ah, that's funny. That's probably because it was like you. I could imagine that like it was more set up. Like a driver's license is not designed well. Like they don't have good lighting. They don't,
We need those things. No.
if only you could send that photo to the driver's license. I mean, to the what do you call it, DMV, and have them put it on your driver's license.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. But even my passport picture is horrible. My son, he's like, when can I get a new passport? Because this is horrible. It's like, welcome to reality.
I did everything wrong with my passport. They're like, don't wear white, and I was like, I'm not wearing white, not realizing that the jacket I had on. Oh no, I think I don't know what went through my mind. I think I just wore white that day. I don't know what. I feel like I bought a different color. Like I don't remember, but I just had a jacket, this horrible like rain jacket, blue, and they made me like put the jacket over me and do all this stuff to
Oh
hide
no.
the top. So I just look like this person in like trash bag, like a blue trash bag.
Oh.
Actually, ID is my one that I got when I was in chemo. They had to give me one for like the New York like Medicaid stuff, And no joke, I look like a black fester.
Oh no.
It's hilarious. No, it's great. Look like a. It's great.
Well, at least you can take it with humor. I
Yeah.
would have been crying.
No, I literally look like if Fester had a baby with a black person. I would be like the Adams family right there. Which I would be honored to be a part of the Adams family. So it's all good.
Yeah, the Addams Family is fun. The Addams Family is definitely fun. So, um, anything else that is going on? We know you have a record. In the works. We know you have your EP out,
Oh, thank you.
um, and you have some things coming up in the works.
Yeah, just you can, if anybody who's out on Long Island, you can catch me the last Saturday of every month um at Nostalgia Bar in Bethpage. However, just for June, it's on the 30th, which is a Friday, but normally it's the last Saturday of every month. And then look out for the food festival, because I just got asked to perform in the food festival in October. And I know it's a little whiles away, but I'm really excited because I'm going to have a full band and I'm going to have dancers on stage with me.
Is that the Taste on the Beach?
I think it is.
I love that event. I've gone 2 years in a row. I love that event.
Yeah, it was like I met somebody and he was actually kind of taking a gamble on me and was like, oh, you seem like you know what you're doing. Send me some stuff. I'll get you the gig. And then his wife does photography. And so she was like, oh, I'll do photography for one of your gigs. So, sadly, they didn't get to see it because everything went late that day. So he's still kind of taking a gamble on me, which is really nice because he hasn't seen me perform. But I have a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff of me performing and stuff, so it helps.
Also, one of your videos, was that shot at Zero Space?
Was it a live video?
I'm not 100% because it's on YouTube, so it's not live anymore.
Yeah, true.
But Michael and I, for his birthday, when Zero Space had just come out, we went to Zero Space,
Yeah.
and just the visuals indicate that you were like the chandelier and the lights and the little like inside octagon type of thing.
Yes, I think I know what you're talking about. Yes, that was Zero Space. I know exactly because I had to think about it. That's my music video Deep. That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes, okay, yes. Because I was like, Zero Space, is that a club? Is that a I was like trying to think about it.
No, it's an immersive. It was an immersive experience, and it was very interesting and very fun.
I had a lot of fun with that. Yes, I went with my friend Zena at the time, and so she actually did all the video work for that.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I have to contact her because she asked me to be on a podcast or some type of interview like forever ago, and I never got back to her. Like literally us talking right now, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta contact her.
So, and do you find performing to be peaceful?
Yes, actually, the song on my BP called Serenity, because the BP is actually all about my mental health journey. So the first one is about figuring out who my frenemies were, how my BPD was affecting those relationships and why it was the way it was, dropping those who maybe weren't healthy for me and keeping the ones who really did care about me. And then the next piece of that was going into some form of serenity, which is really about how performing and being able to sing and dance on stage makes me feel whole, makes just the world of difference for me. um, and I think that every single time I'm able to perform, I'm so grateful to the people who pulled off the events, the sound engineers that are making this happen, the people who showed up and are supporting, the friends and family that either go on the live or come out to see me. Like to me, that makes the world of difference. Like I've had people where there was only 4 people in the room, and some guy was like, "You're going really hard for 4 people," and I'm like, "Why do you think that you are less important than a crowd of a?" That's crazy. Like, it's crazy that we can't recognize our worth as a human, you know?
Yeah.
So, definitely.
So, I have Grace and Evelyn watching as well. They send you love. And I want to thank you again for being on Unique Peace. And I'm going to put you in the green room for a moment, and I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, I want to thank Just E for joining us again. And if you can catch her live or if you want to check her out on her YouTube page, I highly recommend it. She's got a beautiful voice, a beautiful energy, and you should really listen to her. Next week, I have Gina Scotti coming on. It was supposed to be Vika V, but there was a slight change in her schedule. So Gina is stepping in and she's going to be on next Sunday morning. So please join us for that. And I wish you a wonderful, peaceful day.